Macabre, everybody. This is a part 2. I made a video of my 10 favorite obscure metal bands from the 80s that I love. And boy, all these are my favorites. So let's continue this. Now, before I get into the obscure top 10 I have, there's a few bands on here that technically they're pretty obscure. But if you're an old metalhead like me, you are very well aware of these bands. But if you're not, if you're like a younger metalhead getting into metal, hopefully you'll check out these bands because they may be pretty obscure to some of you younger people, not all of you. Like one of the greatest albums I think released in the 80s was from a band called Warrior with Fighting for the Earth. That album, I gotta say, it's like definitely top 10 greatest metal albums. It has to be in the top 10. The title track, Ruler, Mind Over Metal, Defenders of Creation, amazing song. Cold Fire, just an amazing metal ballad. Oh my God, it's just the whole album. The whole album is just smoke, and they have done more since, but that came out in the 90s. This was smack in the middle of the 80s in 85, and I can't believe this album did not explode. They were on MCA Records, so that may explain why it didn't. Even though, you know, they sunk in money, they made a video, and they were on TV shows. You can see that all on YouTube. But if you don't know this album and you're into metal, you really need to check out Warriors, Fighting for the Earth. You will thank me later. And another band, of course, a lot of people know Riot. You know, Riot is, you know, classic. You know, not that obscure, but just in case anybody out there doesn't have Fire Down Under, you need it. So go listen to that. You will realize what an amazing, underrated album. This should have been 10 times platinum. So amazing. All right, the next band, Malice. Yeah, they were, you know them if you're an old metalhead like me, but they released some great albums in the 80s. In the Beginning's awesome. License to Kill. Awesome stuff. I dig Malice. And then another one, Tokyo Blade. Oh my God. Night of the Blade in that first album. Just amazing stuff that you all should check out. All right, now let's get into the obscure, what I feel is very obscure. I'll start with Tough Luck. Tough Luck was actually a local band down here, but they had they did cause a little bit of a buzz in the 80s. They did tour. They played, New York and different places. And they released this album, Tough Luck, where it was really just demos. And they thought they were going to record an album with the record label, but the record label was like, no, we're just going to release these demos. And I think they're awesome. Tonight, Sleaze If You Please. I just think the whole album rips. Up and Down. Great, obscure, kind of hair metalish, but with more of an edge where it's not one of those, ooh yeah, baby, I love you crap. So check out Tough Luck. They actually have a documentary out that's really well made. And yeah, very sad what happened. The drummer was murdered. It's just a heartbreaking story about that. But yeah, there you go. All right, the next one, yeah, I kind of would put this in the, yeah, old metalheads would know it, but maybe not. Maybe old metalheads may have heard the name TT Quick, but have you listened to Medal of Honor? What a killer album. Totally, I can't express how much I love Medal of Honor from TT Quick. All right, next, Sword. Not to be confused with that band called The Sword, which is funny because the band The Sword broke up, and Sword, who hasn't released an album since the 80s, reformed and released a really killer album. But this is the album back in the 80s. And this album right here smokes. Pure metal with no preservatives. Highly recommend Sword. Alright, the next one. Shock Paris. Oh man, do I love this band. The first two albums are just smoking. I love, my favorite song from Shock Paris is called Exhibit A. But check out On Your Feet. I mean, both albums just smoke and they're amazing. And I highly recommend Shock Paris. Alright, next one. Project Driver. Now this is a band with Rudy Sarzo and Tommy Aldridge. Originally was going to have Craig Goldie as a guitar player, but I don't know what happened, and they got Tony McAlpine and Rob Rock to sing. Hell of an album. But I think this is a band that, you know, they went in, I believe they were serious to be a band. They went in, recorded the album, I don't know, it wasn't released for some reason, and then, you know, both Sarzo and Aldridge went to Whitesnake. You know, and Whitesnake was that album was huge, and you know they didn't play on it, but they did the tour and they stayed with Whitesnake. And Project Driver was later released, I think, on Shrapnel or some small label, but it smokes. It's a killer. I highly recommend it. Check out the song Nations on Fire, rips, or Unknown Survivor. Ripping album, man. Awesome 80s metal. Alright, 7 is Le Mans. Featuring a great guitar player called Derek Frigo that went on to play in Enough's Enough. But check out the band Le Mans. They were metal, and that guy was amazing. Unfortunately, he died because, you know, drugs, you know, but he was awesome. And they released a couple albums. I highly recommend both Le Mans albums. Alright, next. Halloween. Not Halloween, but Halloween. I believe they were from Detroit. They had a killer metal album called Don't Metal with Evil. Halloween, man. Yes, very obscure and very awesome band. Alright, the next band is called Dark Star. This album came out in 1981. Killer hard rock metal. You know, Lady of Mars, Captain America, Rockbringer. Great stuff, man. Very obscure. This one, I think, falls in more of a realm of the new wave of British heavy metal, you can say. And God, I can do 100 more episodes of obscure bands from the new album, you know. And Dark Star is definitely one of the killer ones. All right, the next band is called Fifth Angel. Amazing. This band released 2 killer metal albums in the 80s. Then they broke up and they just got back together, I don't know, several years ago, and has released 2 other albums that are freaking awesome. But let's go back to the 80s and check out the song Fifth Angel. Check out the album, Time Will Tell, the second album. Killer stuff. For those that are not aware, Howard Stern, he used to have a TV show on Channel 9. That's when I liked Howard Stern. He was funny back then. And the theme song was Fifth Angel. That's a little tidbit. But love them. That is an awesome band, and I highly recommend. Check out the 80s Fifth Angel, and then check out the later stuff. It's really cool. Alright, the last band is the mighty band Piledriver. There's only 2 guys in the band. One guy played guitar, bass, and drum programming. And the singer, who sadly passed away a couple years ago by the name of Piledriver, has passed away. But they have an album called Metal Inquisition. Holy crap, does that album rule? Does that song rule? You know, if you're not a metalhead, you might as well be dead. Awesome stuff, man. I'm a big fan of Piledriver, and rest in peace, Piledriver. And what can I say, man? Piledriver rules, and all these bands I talked about rule, and hopefully some of you out there, even if it's just one of you, that discovers a band that you actually end up liking because of this video, then it was worth it. So thanks everybody for watching. And there will be more in the future, man. When I think up these bands, when they come into my radar, when I'm playing my iPod Shuffle, yes, I still own an iPod, because screw streaming. Spotify D's nuts. Thanks again, everybody, for watching my favorite obscure metal bands. This is part 2. There will be a 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 once all these bands, obscure bands, hit my radar and I go, oh yeah, I need to talk about them. And hopefully you all check it out and love it. So thanks again, man, and I hope you're subscribed to my channel. If you're not, please subscribe to my channel. Hit the little notification bell, you know, and leave your comments below. If you know any of these bands, I would love to know what's your thought on them. And like the video. It's good for the YouTube algorithms. So stay frosty. Listen to Black Sabbath and smack 'em a gob.